and we became a familiar face. And ultimately, because of the volume that we were doing, they reached out to us for requests for information that we had to turn over invoices and explain to them what we were doing.
And we didn't make any marketing changes. We just kept doing what we were doing and watching the numbers climb. And now he is blowing it up. He is tearing through it. He's ahead of his goals now. And it's because he had somebody that people wanted to talk with when they called. Welcome to the Garage Grit Podcast. I'm Brad Herlock, your host, and I'm glad you're here. And as you know, this podcast is brought and paid for by AA Shop Marketing, a digital marketing company for repair shops, whose mission is to help as many shops as possible. And that's why we started this podcast, was to try to share stories of shop owners so that we can actually help as many shops as possible. And so we've got some really fun SOPs, shop owner panels coming up, and past ones recently as well. And you're going to want to check those out in October of 2025. We actually hinted on, or we actually didn't hint, we actually talked politics. And so you're going to want to check that out as well, because that's a fun one. All right. So, but today we're doing another origin and impact story, but this time with Thomas Andrews of CDT Automotive in North Carolina. And I'm looking forward to hearing his story, but his story has been messaged multiple times through a bunch of different podcasts. And so I don't want to kind of rehash the same thing. If you want to listen to a fuller version of his story, so then just go to the Success Leaves Clue podcast, or maybe the Auto Service Leader magazine, and check out that. But we still want to sum it up, Thomas. So thank you for being on the episode. Thank you for being with us. Why don't you take a moment to just real quick introduce yourself and where the shop is currently, the size and the scope of the shop. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brad, for having me. It's certainly an honor to be on the Garage Grit podcast. So just to sum it up, my name is Thomas Andrews. I am a co-owner of CDT Automotive. My business partner, his name is Mike Liles, and we started out as best friends and turned into business partners, and it's been an incredible journey. So in today's current landscape, we have 2 stores under 2 different brands. One brand is CDT Automotive, based out of Fuquay Varina, North Carolina. It is a 15,000 square foot facility with 15 bays, and we average around $600,000 per month in sales out of that store, with roughly about 22 employees out of that store. And then we also have a second brand, which is called Select Auto Pros. And we opened up our first location in Sanford, North Carolina, roughly about 30 minutes from our CDT Automotive location. And that is a 10-bay store with 7 employees. When we purchased it in January, it was doing $30,000 a month. And now it is doing north of $125,000 a month. So super excited about the growth and projection of that store. Due to the size of that store and the market, we're anticipating that store to be a $200,000 to $300,000 a month store. Then our goal and our vision, goal and vision for our brands, is to have 2 brands that we identify a need in a particular market, and then we feed the automotive repair need with a particular brand that best suits that customer need. And so we'll have 2 brands, and we'll have multiple shops in those 2 brands.
Okay. And so that you kind of just answered that question that I was about to ask, like, why not just start a second location under CDT? But you're saying that the Select Auto Pros brand was more compatible with the market in Sanford? Did I get that right?
Yes. So the idea
what
is
makes
that
it different? Why is CDT branding different from Select? What are you doing different that's speaking to those markets differently?
So CDT Automotive, because of how we started, and we started as an upfitting shop doing aftermarket accessories, performance, lift wheels and tires, and major light-duty diesel specialty repair. That then turned into all makes, all models, general automotive repair, as well as light-duty specialty. We still do that, and as well as lift wheels and tires, bolt-on accessories, as well as emissions-compliant performance bolt-ons. So that brand does that. Select Auto Pros is more of your general run-of-the-mill automotive repair shop that does all makes, all models. not necessarily specializes in anything. We do have the capabilities, though, to do light duty diesel. We do have the capabilities to also do aftermarket, but it is more of just your general automotive repair shop. And the reason why we wanted to do that is because in those two markets, we didn't feel that we could offer the same service offerings that we had at CDT Automotive. So it would cause confusion if we had people going to different stores requesting the same thing and us not being able to deliver the same experience. So the idea was then to create a second brand and have two brands and one experience. So the experience is matched, but the service offerings may differ. And so depending on what that market needs, we will feed the need with either a CDT Automotive or a Select Auto Pros.
Is the vision a third brand in a different market at another time, or
No.
is Select going to be the one that's going to fit the majority of other markets? Okay.
Yeah, Select will be the one that fits the majority of all markets.
It seems to me that when shops who are specialty, whether they're a particular manufacturer or whether they're upfitting, like you were talking about, or a performance shop, they become a more of a generalist repair shop, partially out of need, and partially out of, okay, but so I don't have quite the number of dollars. I'm going to take on this Ford and just handle the Ford. And I wonder if that was part of your journey with CDT, or if there was something else that said, I'm going to pivot and make a change to expand the operations for an intentional reason.
Yeah, so that answer is probably twofold, and I'll explain that. In August of 2020, we received a letter from the Environmental Protection Agency that enlightened us that we were doing something that was not legal in the United States, and we were tampering with emissions components when we were doing tuning. And so that was news to us. Everyone was doing it. So we followed the crowd, and we became a familiar face. And ultimately, because of the volume that we were doing, they reached out to us for a request for information that we had to turn over invoices and explain to them what we were doing. That turned into, long story short, a 4-year legal battle, a massive fine. We did avoid jail time due to us cooperating with the federal government and local authorities, and ultimately giving them all of the information that they requested, and also signing a agreement that we would never do that again. And so that has been resolved as of July of 2024. That is complete.
Oh, wow.
By the wayside.
I mean,
yes.
Interesting. All right. So that leads all sorts of additional questions. But when you first got the notice, were you thinking, hey, did we do anything wrong? Here's our information. Or did you immediately contact a lawyer because you figured out that you had been doing something wrong?
Yeah. So it was the first thing I did. Obviously, we had a legal team, just because we've always had a legal team, just to make sure that if anybody ever tried to sue us as we were starting to grow, or anything occurred from any type of business deal, we've had to have legal advice as our professional growth has occurred, right? So we had a legal team, but we did reach out to a few of our friends who were in the industry, who had already been in process of this that we were unaware of. And so they reached out and provided us with their attorney's information, and we were able to hire an attorney that was specialized in this type of settlement and this type of legal issue. And so that's where that came from. But we were under the impression that what we were doing was not illegal, because the parts were manufactured in the United States of America. The parts were distributed through all distributors that run across the United States of America into manufacturers. They would distribute those channels into resellers, and then we were a reseller and an installer of the product. So in my opinion, if we could purchase the product in the United States that was legally made in the United States, according to us, and we could install it, then how is that our fault for doing that? If it's illegal, then why is it manufactured in the United States?
Is it legal anywhere in the United States? Like
That particular
state laws, right? Vary.
that particular would be not legal anywhere in the United States in any capacity.
It's interesting. It's almost as if like they set you up so that they could get the fine.
So, and that's where you don't like to go there, right? You don't like to go there, but
Oh, I don't like
also
going there. Be a conspiracy theorist. I'm fine. That's fine. Go ahead. Bring it.
so you don't want to go there, but ultimately,
I've been right 16 out of the last 16. We're good, right? So that you've seen that meme.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sorry.
ultimately, the goal is they did not want us to go out of business.
Okay.
They wanted the fine is negotiable, and they wanted to get to a fine that was payable and was agreed upon. Because here's how it works: for every infraction, it's $4,950 per infraction. Every infraction is one component that you touched. So, for example, if we removed the EGR or removed the DEF fluid or removed the DPF, that cost $4,950 per infraction. So that would be times 3 on that particular vehicle. So it could be hundreds and hundreds and thousands of infractions. Well, at that point in time, you've bankrupted me. I can't afford to pay a fine. I can't afford to do anything. So all I'm going to do is close my LLC, go out of business, and never do it again. And you ruined my life, and thank you, and move on. Or we can agree that, oh, we were under the impression that we were not doing something illegal. Now we are aware why it is illegal and that it is illegal. Now we are willing to abide by the rules. We understand that there's a consequence for every action, but let's agree that that $4,950 is a little bit ridiculous per infraction. And so they did, because we were very, very thorough through the process. We were willing to give them over information that they asked for, and we helped them through the investigation. They were willing to come to terms with us on a lesser fine and avoided a criminal investigation and criminal charges. And so they did this civilly, and this was just a pay the fine, sign a consent decree that says we will never do this again.
Yeah.
And then move on about our business.
I'm still not hearing how it's not just a money grab.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
You're not the person to argue that point. Okay. That's fine. So it was the EPA. If anyone from the EPA ever listens to this, if you want to come on to my show and explain how it wasn't just a money grab, I'd be happy to hear your side. But otherwise, it sounds suspicious because, like you said, the supply chain was all there. The marketing for was all there. Customers, I imagine occasionally you were mentioning this as an option to customers, but I bet you the customers were coming to you saying, "This is what I want." The demand was there. The supply was there. It sounds like a setup. That's really, really interesting. All right. So, but thankfully you did not go out of business. Thankfully you stuck it out. Why? That was a 4-year process of paying off. The fines were large enough that it took you 4 years to pay off the fines. Does that sound about right?
No.
Is that why it just got wrapped up in July?
So it gets wrapped up. It took 4 years. Yeah, I would say for a number of reasons, but it doesn't move fast. The process doesn't move fast. We're dealing with their attorneys. They're dealing with our attorneys. And then it's, hey, we need this information. We give them the information, and we don't hear something for 8 months. And then they all of a sudden come back and say, hey, okay, we got that information. Now we need this. And then we send it, don't hear anything for 4 months. And the problem is this. I'm going to be completely honest with you, Brad. The fine was the least of my concern. The cloudy headspace and mental fortitude that was required to go through this was the issue in this 4-year battle, right? It clouds your headspace. It's hanging over your head. You're trying to move past this. And so that was honestly the worst part. The reason why we were able to get a expedited, what they call an expedited settlement, is because we were willing to pay them one lump sum in 30 business days. So we did not take 4 years to make the payment. The settlement was completely done. We signed a legal document saying we never would do it again. We signed a document stating we would pay X amount of dollars. We paid the X amount of dollars within 30 days. And then it was stamped, approved, all good. And knock on wood, nothing's come of it since.
Amazing. I completely understood, and I was actually thinking about that cloudy headspace, about the stress that goes along with it. And a very unrelated story from legal stress was, I remember meeting up with some friends of mine from high school, and I remember looking at around the room at the table and like, man, my friends really got old looking. And then I got married and had a kid, and then a few years later I caught up with them, and I'm like, I caught up. And so like, so the stress, right? So like, really what I want to do, if someone has a good AI generated computer program, what does Thomas Andrews look like without that cloud? How much younger would he look like without that cloud? And so feel free to go out to their website and grab Mike's photo as well, or maybe their Facebook page, and also do the same thing. It'd be a fun story. This is what you'd look like without the federal government. So anyway, I'm sorry. That was just an aside. So, all right. So let's talk real quick. I know that we've said that the Success Leaves Clues podcast is going to have the majority of your story, but let's just, in case someone hasn't heard it at all, let's just real quick sum up. Let's back up and sum up. Like 20 years ago, what were you doing? Were you tinkering with stuff? Were you playing with cars? Were you in the t-shirt business?
Yeah, so that's it's funny that you mentioned that. So I'll kind of just really quick sum this up, but it started off as Mike and myself, high school best friends, and that's where we started. Mike was always the tinkerer. He was the technician mindset, always using his hands. School was not for him. He did not enjoy school. He enjoyed getting his hands dirty, fixing things. He was a problem solver and critical thinker. I was more of a social butterfly. I like to go to school to hang out with buddies and, hang out with people and do networking and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, school is a product of the environment. I went through school fine. I wasn't an A student. I was more of a C student, but I got by. I checked the box and we moved on. So what happened is we get through high school. Mike goes straight into the automotive industry and starts his career as a mechanic that turned into a master technician. I went to college, did 4 years at Appalachian State University, and got a BSBA in information security. And so I was doing IT with a concentration in information security. So that was my nerd phase. I went through that phase. And so I did that. And I always had a knack for upgrading vehicles, modifying vehicles, and playing with vehicles, but it was only because Mike was able to facilitate that. I would want to do things, change the wheels, put a lift kit on something, make something go fast, whatever the case was, but I didn't have the mechanical knowledge to do that. So Mike and I, on nights and weekends, that's what we would do. We would just go hang out together, spend time together, mess with the vehicle, put on a turbo, put on a supercharger, put lifts, wheels, and tires on, whatever the case is, just for personal stuff, right? And that's just what we did. That was the fun that we had. That was our hobby. And so I went to college. We kept in touch. I would come home for the summers. I would work locally, and then he was obviously working, so we'd meet up for lunch and things like that. In 2012, that's when this really started, at a Penn Station Subs restaurant, and we were at lunch and wrote on a napkin Carolina Diesel Trucks as a truck club that we wanted to start, because there was car clubs, but there were no truck clubs. That wasn't a thing in 2012. So that's really where our brand was born, and we didn't realize what we were doing in hindsight was we were building a brand without knowing it, okay? So what happens is we start this truck club. Well, everybody wants stickers, so they can put a sticker on their truck so they can say, hey, I'm part of this truck club. Then that goes to t-shirts. It goes to hoodies, hats, beanies, jackets, you name it, right? It was a full-blown apparel company, essentially. And then what we were doing is we got set up with other shops and other vendors that were already in the automotive industry that had these truck shows, whether it was dirt sled pulling, drag racing on drag strips, whether it was show and shines, right, where you get a trophy or money for the cleanest truck or best in show or best in class, right? And we decided to sponsor those events as a vendor. And so we set up a booth and we had t-shirts, hoodies, hats, apparel, and back to the club. And then we would sell it. And all we were doing is we were selling it, making very little money. We were basically selling it for what we had in it. And in hindsight, 2020, I was like, why did we do that? That was so dumb. We did all that work. I mean, dude, we worked our tails off loading up trailers the night before, driving all the way out there. We had 5 or 6 people working for free the whole time just because we were passionate individuals and then for making no money, right? But what we were doing was when we were walking around, guess what? Carolina diesel trucks, Carolina diesel trucks, Carolina diesel trucks. Oh, there's Carolina diesel trucks. Oh, wow. I mean, there's a sea of our brand all over this place. And we were getting product into the environment. And that was us building our brand. But we had no idea that's exactly what we were doing. And that wasn't the vision. Honestly, it was just a hobby at that point.
Yeah.
Right? I was working in IT and Mike was working on vehicles all day.
Right.
So those were our 2 jobs, right?
So he was working for another shop.
He worked for several shops. He worked for independent shops and he worked for dealerships, all as a technician.
Okay. All right. And so at what point did you have the epiphany that the brand can be capitalized by upfitting?
So that's where the demand issue comes into play, right? Mike's working full days and then at nighttime and all the weekends, and we can't keep up because it starts out with one person that needs something done. Oh yeah, we'll do it for this guy. Well, then guess what? We give him a killer experience and he goes and tells 5 guys. And now next thing you know, hey man, I want the same treatment that you gave my buddy. Okay, no problem.
Right.
So,
right.
and so that's what happens. So that's where the brand starts to take off.
It's so much easier to give a killer experience as you described it, right? When you are upfitting a vehicle, when it's just, there's so much cool factor. There's very little cool factor getting my oil changed.
Correct. And that's a very good point. I'm glad you brought that up because we talk about it all the time. When we were doing performance, go fast goodies, when we were doing lift kits, wheels, tires, we were building SEMA trucks, we were building trucks for professional athletes. And when you do that, it's not a need, it's a want. And people smile and enjoy spending. Nobody wants to fix their roof. Nobody wants to fix their brakes. Nobody wants to replace their transmission. But people like going fast and people like doing fun things and sexy things.
Yeah.
So you're right.
Yeah.
Of course. Off-road.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to give a killer experience with that.
Okay. So you recognize there's a chasm between the killer experience opportunity in performance and the killer experience between the needs, the basic needs. So how did you bridge it? What are you doing?
So that is where I feel like we laid a phenomenal foundation with that. And then when we pivoted after the EPA situation to predominantly a full-blown repair shop, all makes, all models, we also, another reason why we went all makes, all models was because we felt the impact, the need to impact the community on a greater level. We got a lot of pressure from the community to expand our shop. We only had an 8-bay shop, 10,000 square feet when we initially built it in 2019. And so in 2023, while we were going through the legal issues, we expanded the building 5,000 square feet and added 7 additional bays, making it a 15-bay facility. That was so that we could expand on our community. As our community was growing, we wanted to be able to facilitate their needs and not make them wait weeks and months for automotive repair.
Okay. Bunch of questions there. You say your community. Are you saying that there's a lot of new developments going in?
Yes.
Gentrification of America. It's no longer rural. The farmlands were sold, and now they have the sidewalks and okay, got it. And so you had this development come in, and you already had the brand, and you just needed to be able to expand to meet the demand. Now, how did the brand transfer from the cool factor to the everyday? Because is it just because you did a great job fixing my, uplifting my Jeep with now I want you to handle my my everyday SUV? Is that what, or was it, holy crap, we can't keep doing just performance because the EPA is killing us. We need to change what we're offering. What was pushing the most?
So it was twofold. The EPA, and you're going to think I'm crazy for saying this, that was a blessing in disguise. That provided us the strength and pressure, and we had no choice but to go in a different direction. And I don't know if our egos would have allowed us to go in that direction, because that was where our heart was and where our passion was. And what we had to do was we had to pivot to going into an all makes, all models operation. And we started we want every car in the driveway campaign. We don't just want your light duty diesel. We want your wife's Suburban. We want your child's Jeep. We want the Toyota Corolla. We want the soccer mom's Honda Odyssey. We want it all, right? And it's not sexy, but ultimately we didn't have the choice. And so that's when we brought that on. We had to expand the facility to be able to handle all of that, because we went from, you got to understand, our business used to be a business that had 60 to 100 vehicles on our lot at all times getting worked on. And it was an 8-bay shop. So you can imagine stuff sat for months. But we were a specialty shop, so it's all good, no problem. Right? And we're making excuses for everybody that, oh yeah, specialty shop, no problem. Well, now we are a same-day service operation. That is how we operate. We are a yes shop, and we are a same day, because ultimately our passion shifted from modification of vehicles to people and serving. And that is where the shift happened, to where now we are focused on community impact. We are a people-centric organization, and we care about our team and our customers.
Okay. All right. In your mission statement, you actually have the word impact. You are a community impacting shop. That's part of your verbiage, your language that you use. Okay, nice. So it's not just the name of my of these series. It's actually something that you actually that resonates with you, because there you are attempting to impact the community. How are you impacting the community?
Yeah, so that is our purpose, and what we have learned is that people, as we go from generation to generation, they're looking for employers with a purpose. We were a purpose-driven organization. We were in the customer experience business, and we just happened to sell automotive repair. Period. I don't care about parts. I don't care about the cars. We care about people, and we take care of people. We develop our team, we develop our talent, and we create the best customer experience possible at the convenience to the client, because we know, to your point, it is very hard to give a 5-star experience to customers that are upset, inconvenienced about that their brakes are failing, they need tires, their car didn't start this morning, whatever the case is. So it is our responsibility, and we give autonomy to all of our team to make the call and do whatever it takes to take care of the customer and make it as convenient as possible. And we do that with all of the value adds that we offer.
Okay. All right. How are you making sure that that's being passed through? That's the top down saying, this is what we're doing. Give me 2 examples of how you're making sure that that is actually an action statement as opposed to a descriptive statement.
So Mike and I are actively involved in our business, but we are not actively involved inside the business. We're actively involved on the business. We have a leadership team in place that it is their responsibility to make sure that these things happen. But we are training our leadership team and our front of the house at both stores twice a week, every single week. And that is how we reiterate and reiterate. And
You're
how
doing that, or Mike's doing that, or you're both doing that?
So I'm responsible for the front of the house.
Mike is responsible for the back of the house. That tracks with what you talked about. And so how often is Mike training the back of the house?
He trains the foreman, and then ultimately is training the back of the house as often as he sees fit. The foreman is doing weekly technician meetings and trainings as well.
Nice. Okay. All right. So you've got this dialed in, and it didn't start that way. When you first said, okay, here's my experience, here's what the experience I want to deliver. And how did you learn how to implement that level of experience?
So what happened was, and Mike and I will talk about this all the time, simpler times back in the day when it was just me and him. We didn't really have bad experiences. We didn't have bad feedback from a customer perspective. It was me and him. We took care of it. We didn't have as many customers to take care of either. We had a pretty simple business, right? So we start to look at those and we're like, man, that's crazy. But how we have done this is we keep it stupid simple and we make it fun, but we also empower, train, and elevate all of the people inside our organization to take care of it. Whereas used to, it was, well, we're never going to find anybody as good as us. Well, they're not as good as us. So you know what? If I don't do it, then it's never going to be right. And then we're going to get a bad review. And no, it's not that. That's not scalable. And honestly, success for us at this point is not about what I produce. It's not about me. It is about my team and what my team can produce. And that is success.
Okay. It's going to happen. It's bound to happen. You're talking about numbers. You can't please everybody. So talk to me about the most recent 3-star or example where you fell short, and what did you learn from it, and how did you shift? How did you enhance?
So when you
deal with, just for everyone to know, I did not know that I was going to ask that question, and Thomas was not prepared to answer this question. That's the whole point of these interviews. We're just a casual conversation type setup. And so did I get you?
Nope.
Is that a gotcha question? All right, good. Bring it.
This happened 3 times this week. So we are not perfect. We'll never be perfect, but we work hard, we train, and we put in the reps to become better and better. And ultimately, we grow the most in our failures. And so we like to call them opportunities. But here's the deal, and I'll tell you this about reviews, and I think everyone listening to this podcast needs to hear this. Do not run from 1-star reviews, and do not hide. Because the reality of the situation is, I love a 1-star review. And you're like, Thomas, that's crazy. Why would you say that? Because how many customers do you have that go to your store, have the experience, have something bad happen, and be quiet and never come back? And guess what? You can't fix a problem that you don't know exists. You can't fix a bad experience. You don't get the opportunity. All I ask as the owner of CDT Automotive is for the opportunity to right or wrong. If we made a mistake in your experience, tell me about it and let's fix it. Give me the opportunity. If I choose not to fix it, that's on me. But I want the opportunity. So a 1-star review, I like, because that gives me the opportunity to identify what happened, where did we fail our customer on their experience, and how can we resolve it? And that's where we move to.
Okay. All right. So now I'm going to push back on this. All right. Because, and by the way, if you're curious, one of our earliest episodes, I think it might have been our 2nd episode, was about how you handle bad reviews, how shops are handling bad reviews. So we had 3 different shop owners on, as well as someone from Steer, CRM also on. And we're just talking about how we're handling. And the one shop was talking about how he probably is more in your camp, in that he would call and earn his way to the point where he would then ask them to change their rating. So he would correct it to the point where they would change their rating. And not always, but often that was his goal. And he had a lot of reviews and a top-notch number, right? So 5 stars. So anyway, I have had, and I've seen others, and this is where I'm going to give you the pushback. I've seen situations where the customer just kind of seems unreasonable, maybe even bat crazy. I don't even know, right? But it was just kind of, you get into a situation where, how do you address that? How do you handle someone who complains all the time about everything?
Yeah. So, and I'll comment on the situation about getting them to change the rating. So when we get a 1-star review, our protocol is to do a review of the RO, talk to all parties involved. So the advisor that dealt with the customer, the technician that dealt with the fix, the quality control person that we have working for us full time that touches every single vehicle every single time. We get everybody in the room. We figure out what, if we were at fault in any way, where we messed up. It's almost always lack of effective communication. That is the biggest failure point in our industry, and probably in majority of industries, is lack of effective communication. We drop the ball somehow, some way. Okay. So how we do that, though, is then we get the opportunity. We reach out to the client. I don't care about the rating at this point. Who cares? I want to take care of the client. We do not ask them to change the rating. If they voluntarily do it, great. If they don't, I don't care, because ultimately, when you go on CDT Automotive Google reviews, I want you to see who we are and realize that, guess what? We're human too. We make mistakes. We aren't perfect. It's part of it. Okay. And I don't want to fabricate. I'm not going to pay for reviews. I'm not doing any of that crap. I want
And
you
just
to get that.
add to that, I think the types of customers that you want are people who recognize that you're also human, but that you care enough to respond to the bad reviews. So when I'm looking, when I'm looking for a contractor or any service or any restaurant or any repair shop, I'm not looking for 5 stars. I actually want to read the good and the bad, and I want to see how the shop responds to the bad, because then if something happens, I'm cared for. I like that. That's a good thing, and you're nodding your head in agreement. So I guess after you've reached out to the customer, you've done all of your research, you reach out to the customer, do you also post a reply? Hey, we'll be in touch with you soon. I'm sorry you had this experience.
So we do that off the rip. That's the first thing we do, is immediately respond.
Yep.
And so we just say, hey, we take these things serious, and you're exactly right. And I was going to touch on that. I'm glad you touched on that. When you get a bad review, it's all about the response, because at the end of the day, you're going to make a mistake. But to your point, if I am doing business with somebody, I want to know, hey, they advertise this 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. Are they going to stand behind it? So when somebody says, hey, I went here 2 years ago, my brakes, something happened, and it's your fault, and you guys suck, and whatever the case is, and then we go through and we fix it all, and then they may post, we respond with our story, and then they may fix the review and do a little update and say, update, I put this review here, honestly didn't think I would hear anything. They reached out, got the vehicle back in, took care of everything for free, under warranty, like they stated, and I'm going to change my review to a 5-star because of it, or whatever. Right now, not all, it doesn't always happen, but at the end of the day, we just want to do right by the customer, and that means more to us than anything. What they choose to say online about us is what they choose to say online about us. They can write their story, that's fine, but at least we know in our hearts and in our minds who we are, what our culture is that we have created, and how we operate, and we can sleep good at night knowing that we did right by that customer, period.
Okay. You get a 1-star review and you can't find the customer data in your database. It's happened.
It's happened. It's happened several times. Yep.
Yep.
So
what does it look like? What's the process now?
Yep. So the process is we respond back to the review and say, hey, we would love to understand exactly what's going on here. We went to look up the information to try to get ahead of this and give you a call, and we're having an issue finding you in our system. Please give us a call, ask for this person at this direct line, and we will be happy to get this taken care of for you. We look forward to hearing from you. And we leave it at that.
How often do you hear?
And very rarely, unfortunately,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
rarely. Right now,
Well,
uh,
it's because there are times when they leave
uh,
the wrong review
uh,
for
yep,
CDD as opposed to
yep,
CDT.
yep, correct. It happens and it's part of it. And honestly, guess what? We don't care because if that
So
stuff's
you
out of our
don't go to
control,
Google at that point and say this person is not in our records. You don't try to get that removed. You just let it ride. And all right. So how many reviews are coming through on a weekly basis on your Google profile?
I would say that we are averaging roughly between 30 to 50 reviews a month.
Okay.
So that's
So
going to be roughly 10 to 15 a
yeah,
week,
right.
essentially. That's how many.
All right. And roughly how many cars? I'm sorry. Is that both locations or is that just
That's just
CDT?
one
That's
location.
just one location. All right.
That's CDT.
All right. So and how many cars are you currently processing per month?
At CDT
Yeah.
500.
Okay. So you're looking at less than 10% of and have you found that to be a reasonable number? I mean, I hear people all the time, we need to get more reviews, we need to get more reviews. And there are programs out there where you can kind of spam the daylights or push reminders. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Push reminders to your customers after the fact. I don't know about you, but when I leave the store from wherever I'm at or I'm done with the experience and I'm off to the next experience, maybe it's my ADA HD. I don't know. I've forgotten. It's out of mind, out of sight. I don't sit down at my computer. You give me a text message. I'm not going to, I don't know. Maybe if they're replaying the exact same play over and over again, proving that Mahomes got the call that he shouldn't have gotten, maybe then I will bother to leave a review. I get the text at that particular time, but I don't. So how are you going through getting those reviews? Are you pushing a reminder to every single person? Yes or no?
And it's funny that you mentioned that because to your point, you're typically not leaving a review unless you have a bad experience. Right. So typically you're not going to. Now, to answer your other question, yes, we do have software in place that does do a text follow up reminder, but it is not review focused. It is checking on the customer and the work that we completed on the vehicle. We are not actually asking for a review. We are just doing a 48-hour follow up, asking how the customer is and asking if everything is good with the repair that we did on their particular vehicle. And then that may prompt them to do it. To your point, can you get a better than 10% return? Absolutely. If you're pushing things down people's throats and you're asking for reviews every 5 seconds and you're paying, $25 gift cards to everybody that leaves you a review, of course, we could have thousands of them. But the whole point is I want to paint a true depiction of us. I think we have 790 4.9 star reviews on Google right now at CDT Automotive, and we have 300 plus 4.5 star reviews at Select Auto Pros. So obviously we are working to increase that. Now we did when we purchased the store that Select Auto Pros is now, we purchased a store that actively had some reviews because it was a pre-existing store open for 38 years and it had some negative reviews. I wanted to take on that. That's part of it. That gives me pressure.
Wait. Yeah, yeah. All right. So the previous name of the store was Select,
Taylor Automotive.
and so you took on Taylor's reviews, even though you've given yourself a new name, new business. Fascinating. Okay, because the easy thing to do would have been to just reboot, and Google would have
100%.
you've done that.
Absolutely.
And but you were trying to make a point that you were going to own this space,
Correct.
and you're going to see the difference. And there's there are some people who aren't freaks like me, and they actually just look at the most newest reviews. And so if you're getting a steady flow of reviews, and a lot of them are half decent, then you're going to be fine, right? And from a marketing perspective, Google isn't looking for you to have 1,000 reviews. Google is looking for you to have a bare minimum number of reviews. Like, so if you have 5, that's not enough, right? But it's mostly looking, as it stands right here in 2025, it's mostly looking for a consistent flow of reviews. Whether you have 1 a week or whether you have, 5 a week, or in your case, 10 a week, 10 to 15 a week, it cares that it's a consistent flow. And so that's the important thing. That's where you're going to get more relevance when you're coming up on searches. So just a quick side tip for those who are like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get 10 per week. Don't stress. All right. It's okay. Start. And I actually like to ask, just kind of like, I kind of take your approach. When I talk to our customers at AA Shop Marketing, I actually advise them to don't start by saying, can you give us a review? Start by checking in with them. Did we give you a 5-star experience? Did we earn your next business?
Yeah.
And
because
then
it's not about you, right? It's about them. It's not about you.
It's about them.
You need to check in on them.
Right. And
It's
when
about
you
them.
do that, I think it actually puts the guard down on because everybody's getting blasted. I had surgery on my leg earlier this year, and I still get reviews from review requests from the doctor. And I'm like, well, I'm not yet able to run 5 miles, so maybe I'll hold off on that review.
Yeah, that review is loading. It's pending.
So we'll
That's funny that it's funny that you mentioned that. But speaking of reviews, I did want to tell you this one review. You asked how we handle a review, and I'll tell you one that just happened. And this is how we handled it. And this is against the grain approach. I'm actually proud of my team for doing this, to be completely transparent with you. Extremely proud of my team for this one. So here's what we got. We got a 1-star review. Okay. 1-star review at CDT Automotive. And here is how it was written. Customer comes in, they come in, they have a wonderful experience, they leave. We get the 1-star review. My store manager there immediately reaches out and is like, dude, I have no idea what happened here. Like, this is crazy. You had a great experience. I don't understand. So we read the review. Incredible front counter, great staff, great service. Everyone was so nice, so polite, so friendly. Top-notch operation. They have a wonderful waiting area full of refreshments and snacks and free Red Bull. They've got Wi-Fi. I was able to work while I was there. Absolutely remarkable customer experience in automotive. Arguably the best automotive experience I have ever had. Enter. However, the chips that I ate were expired. 1 star. Okay, perfect. So you broke my system. Here's what happened. We have one of my advisors. It is their responsibility to restock the refreshments, both snacks and drinks. Okay, that's one of his jobs. One of my advisors is to vacuum the floor, mop the floor. One of my advisors is to make sure the bathrooms are restocked. Everybody's got their own job, right? This particular guy does his deal. He's making sure that all the snacks and all the drinks are all packed in there because I want it to be overflowing so that customers will actually use them and take them, because if it looks scarce, they're going to be like, oh, I don't want to take the last bag of chips, right? So no problem. Here's what happens. We get an influx of waiters. They completely smack our snacks. I mean, they are just slapping them, right? So we normally get those from Costco. Well, Mike and myself, out of town, we were at a ShopFix event, and we get notified by our advisor that we are low on chips. So what do? We go to Amazon, 2-day chips, get them to our store, advisor puts the chips out, every one of them were expired. Amazon got us. They got us with chips. Okay, so here's what happens. Well, guess what? So we take the 1-star review. Naturally, normally what you would do, oh, wow, man, I can't believe that crap. Like, who is this guy? This is just crazy to me. Nah, this is what we did. Perfect. Well, please tell me you got that guy's physical address when you did the customer check-in like we train on twice a week. Please tell me you got his address. Yeah, I got his address. Perfect. What were the chips? Red bag of Doritos. Nacho cheese? Perfect. Well, guess what he got? A box of red bag Doritos delivered to his doorstep. Didn't call him, didn't respond to the review, no nothing. Guess what? He calls. Nope. He calls.
No, I'm just, that would have been funny.
That would have been hilarious.
That would have been awful.
That would have been hilarious. He calls the store. He calls the store. I can't believe.
Yeah.
I can't believe this. This is insane. I, number one, half-heartedly wrote that as a joke. I didn't think that you guys would even respond. And now my wife's making me feel horrible because you guys have now given me a month's supply of bread, nacho, cheese, Doritos.
God bless.
And right, exactly. And so he now feels bad. And, oh, we got a customer for life. But that is customer experience. That's going above and beyond. That is thinking differently outside the box.
Yeah. Is anyone else wondering? I'm wondering. Did anybody leave a 1-star review on the Amazon retailer that gave you the expired chips?
So we did not leave a review, but we did reach out to customer service, and we did say, hey, just so you know, just so you're aware, in case anything, we don't want this to happen to anybody else. So these are expired, and Amazon did give us a credit on our account for those that order of chips that we had. So they did right the wrong, right? They did right the wrong, but I didn't feel like they did it on purpose or purposeful intent. So obviously we kind of left that alone. It was an oversight. But also what they do, they fixed our process. So little did they know, I'm thankful for this 1-star review. I'm thankful for this customer because now, guess what we put in the process? My advisor is now looking at expiration dates before he puts anything on the counter. Period.
Fascinating. Yeah, no, I'm paused because I eat expired stuff all the time. But I mean, this can't go through the cupboard. Oh, it expired 2022. That's fine. There's no dents in it yet. It's fine. It's not swollen. It's fine. But all right, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but yeah, I probably do eat more older. I hate wasting.
It's not. I mean, it's not going to kill you. It might just be a little stale.
It's
okay.
But probably.
Right.
Don't get health food advice from me. That's not my alley. And I didn't grow up in the Depression era, so I don't know why I have this compulsion to not waste food, but here I am.
So you're a member of the Clean Plate Club?
Yes, the waste or waste, right? So I kept it on mine instead of the trash can. So it is what it is. That's how I grew up, right? Yep. I mean, you finish what's put on your plate, and next time learn. But if your belly hurts, learn to put less on your plate next time.
Portion.
And so that's why when my professor in college told us, because he knew that the schedule was tight and that some of us did not have time to stop to eat lunch, that we could just bring our lunch to class. And so I would bring this large bowl of around 12 scoops of ice cream with 2 ham sandwiches on top. And I would eat the ham sandwiches, and I'd have the 12 scoops of ice cream right there in the class. They're like, why'd you put the ham sandwich on top of the ice cream? I didn't want to carry 2 different dishes. It's fine. It's all going to the same place. That was many moons ago, but nonetheless. Okay, so I like this. There are times, though, that I feel like there are unreasonable people, completely unreasonable on those reviews. And there are times when it sometimes just makes sense to you're going to get 10 5-star reviews next week. It's not going to get seen too much. And as long as you've posted some sort of olive branch, you don't have to necessarily go to the nth degree. I've come across shop owners who think that they should argue the point or make their case online. And I think you're just ruffling feathers. You're okay? You're in agreement with me. I think you're just ruffling feathers to somebody who is a career complainer. You can't help everybody. You throw out the olive branch and you move on. But as you said, you investigate your own process to make sure that there's not something that was missed by you.
Right. So my biggest thing is I want to make sure that we learn our lesson here, regardless of the customer. If the customer is just we've had this happen, right? Leave a 1-star review, say, man, I wasn't happy with the service. They're overpriced. They're this, they're that. Well, first
Mm.
of all, expensive is relative, and second of all, if you don't see the value in what we offer, then that may be a problem on our side. We need to reevaluate and make sure that we are offering
Mm.
the value to the experience that we are providing and to the price that we are charging. That is my responsibility, is to make sure that we are increasing value if we're increasing price. But
All right.
learning from that, I'm not going to uh, respond back in a negative manner or a condescending manner online. I will always offer to fix the problem. But what we will see is a lot of people will write things online. And then when you go to approach them, they will not want to talk about it, or they will just ignore your phone calls because they really don't want you to resolve their problem. They just wanted to complain.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have those,
Yes.
and it is what it is, but make sure you take the time to learn from your own experience and their experience to improve that customer experience going forward. Okay. So yeah, you mentioned ShopFix Academy a moment ago. And so this is the Origin and Impact series. Let's talk about the impact that you're having. Are you sharing this knowledge, this experience with anybody else right now? How are you helping the auto repair industry?
So through ShopFix Academy, number one, that organization single-handedly changed my life. I would
Okay.
just say that I was at a Mike and myself were at a very dark spot in 2021. We had just gone through the EPA situation that was brand new, hot and heavy. We had no idea what our
Yep.
future was.
Those were heavy.
Clouds were heavy. Mike and I got to the point where we were working 20 hours a day a piece. We are moving $3 million a year, and we were losing about 200 to 300 grand a year, and moving
And
that
this is
kind of money.
before the pivot.
And
This
this
is
is
this was
before. Yep. So
Go ahead.
we realized we had a few choices, right? We could sell the business, and both of us could go back to our full-time jobs. I could go back into IT, cybersecurity, working full-time. Mike could go back turning wrenches, working full-time, making more money than we were making, right? More money and
Yep.
less, no headache,
And
more money,
maybe some jail time on the weekends.
and maybe some jail time on the weekends, right? Because who know, we didn't know at that time what that was going to yield, and so we throw our egos in the trash and turn to somebody who's smarter than us and find a coaching company that would consult with us and fix our business, because clearly we couldn't fix it. And so,
Is that the? I mean, I'm starting to see a marketing slogan for ShopFix: "Put your ego in the trash and call this number."
yeah, so the slogan is "Fix the owner, fix the shop,"
Right.
because it's always our fault, right? So, and that's honestly, it was my fault. We had big egos, man. We were building SEMA trucks for Tyreek Hill and trucks for, Seattle Seahawks defensive backs, and we were the coolest people in town, and everybody thought we were awesome, and we were broke, and we were not great, and we were losing, personal life issues, all sorts of things, right? So from the outside looking in, it wasn't great. But I'll tell you this: we turned to ShopFix Academy. We find this guy named Aaron Stokes, and we called the number. They did a consultation, and then we went to the first event in July. It's called their Shop Hackers event, and it's their national event. They had Ed Milet and Jesse Itzler on their at their event this past summer, and it was incredible. Two incredible speakers, and so, but this organization, when we joined, they showed us our business. They looked at our business and were like, "Hey, man, so send us your P&L, send us all your financials, and we're going to get to work." And we were like, "What's a P&L?" And they were like, "Wait a minute. You said you were doing $3 million a year in revenue." I'm like, "Yeah, we are." "Well, what do you mean you don't have P&L?" "I don't even know what that is." "What P&L stand for?" "A profit and loss statement." I'm like, "Okay. And where do I get that? Where do I get one of those?" Right? So they're like dumbfounded, right? Moving that much money and you have no idea about your financials. And so that was a super eye-opening, pivotal moment for us. So then it's like, okay, well, guess what? What did Mike do? We outworked everybody in the room. That's how we've gotten to where we are today. And so we did the same thing. We took our egos, we threw them in the trash. We were at rock bottom. We had nothing. We had everything to gain and nothing to lose at that point. We'd already lost it. So we jump in the grease. We follow their system. We run the play the ShopFix way. And we start seeing pivotal moments. They tell us, stop building SEMA trucks. We can't do that. That's like our whole identity. What are you talking about? We can't stop doing that. People are going to think we're going out of business. We can't pivot to just doing brakes. We don't want to do brakes. That's boring. Do you want to have a business a year from now, or do you not? Yeah, I mean, we would like to have a business a year from now. Well, then you need to start doing general automotive repair. You can still do your specialty stuff, but you have to have the main core of your business needs to be a need and a recession-proof business, not a want and just something that when the economy goes bad, people are not putting lift kits, wheels, and tires on their vehicles, but they are going to fix their brakes because they can't afford a new car. Interesting concept. Still don't love it, but I could get behind it, right? So that's ShopFix
Did you and
Academy.
Mike argue with this? Did you and Mike argue about this?
We did. We would get off the phone with our coach, and we would look at each other and say, "Man, I don't like that. Honestly, I don't like it. I don't say." And then, but we look at each other and we would argue back and forth, and we'd spend a couple hours, and we get to the end of it and say, "Well, what are we paying for? We're paying for a consultant who, do we want to be in that person's shoes? Yes or no? Yes, we do. So who are we to combat what he has to say? We aren't. So let's see what happens. Worst case scenario is we back up and punt, we quit ShopFix, and we move on. And so what we do? We would do it. We would see a result. We double down. Do it. See a result. Double down. And then what happened? We grew from $3 million to $7.3 million, making actual net profit.
Right. Nice. All right. And what year was that?
So this was from 2021 to 2024 was $7.3 million in sales. That was with one store. We did not have our second location yet.
Right.
But honestly, the biggest piece for me was through that growth progression was personal and professional development. And then it also made me realize that I wanted to give back and make an impact for the community. What fills my cup today is me pouring into other shop owners who were in similar positions as to Mike and I in 2021, so that they can learn from our mistakes and hopefully that they implement faster than we did, so that then they have a better growth projection and they can continue to move forward and succeed.
Okay. And you're actively working with shops right now?
Yes. So I am a business coach for ShopFix Academy.
Okay. So if somebody wants to have you as their coach, they got to enroll in ShopFix and request your name.
Correct.
Okay. And how long have you been coaching?
So I started in May of 2024. So just over about a year and a few months at this point.
Okay. All right. And what's it like? Is it as rewarding? You said it fills your cup. Is it as rewarding as you were thinking?
Yeah. So certainly not something that you do for the money, right? This is a philanthropy deal, right? So this is something that the amount of time that I invest in these people and energy and effort, I certainly am not getting the return on that investment as far as monetary goes, but I am getting the return on investment as far as impact, inspiration, filling my cup with me being able to take what this beautiful organization has given to me and be able to give that and pour that into others so that they can reap the same benefits that I was able to reap from that organization.
Okay. All right. Nice. And Mike's not much of a people person, or as much of a people person, so he's not coaching. It's just you.
Correct. See, yeah, we both couldn't coach because ultimately, obviously, he operates the shops. I help him on the backside from that perspective, but he's the main operator of both stores. I just pretty much hammer and train on the front side of the operations, and then I coach.
Yeah. I like your story in that the two of you were friends growing up. And I like your story that you were honest with the fact that there were heated conversations at some point. Like, you didn't use the word heated, but I bet you there were some heated conversations with the stress level and whether or not you should change the shop and those types of things over the years. But, you remembered that the goal is still the same at the end of the day, to be successful together and to keep that friendship going. And so do you show up at each other's house for Thanksgiving?
So at each other's house for Thanksgiving, no, we do Thanksgiving with our team members. So we do a potluck. We fry turkeys. All of the team helps and brings that accordingly. All of them bring their own sides and their own dishes. And so it's kind of like a potluck. And we do that for both stores. We would do that. The first one will be with Select Auto Pros, will be this November. We haven't had that before, right? And
Okay.
so we that's something that we do. We break bread with our people. That's just what we do. But also, to touch on your point of our story, Mike and I, and our friendship. Obviously, yes, we are friends to our core. Being business partners is not easy. We have a lot of friends that have been business partners, and their businesses have not flourished, and unfortunately, they've broken up as friends throughout that. And honestly, I will tell you this to give you the secret sauce for that. Mike and I treat this. I mean, you can basically state that we're a married couple at this point. We also look like twins, and so that's fun. But we are not related. And so people will say that to us. But we also, one of the really biggest pieces of the puzzle that I wanted to touch base on in this particular is that success builds a resume and significance builds a legacy. And I want to become significant, and becoming significant is pouring into others and leaving a lasting impact across as many people as I can in my life. And in doing that, ShopFix Academy has really, really helped with that.
So just a few moments ago, actually not a few moments ago, last week, we were here together talking, and then we had a technical issue, and all of a sudden the feed got disrupted, and we weren't able to finish our conversation from last week. And so, Thomas, I'm glad we were able to get back on the calendar, and so that we can pick up where we left off and continue the conversation. So thank you for making a second time to be with the Garage Grip podcast. But where we left it off before things got kind of silly, we were talking about breaking bread. We were talking about spending time with our team outside of just, turning wrenches and whatnot, building relationships with our coworkers. And, it kind of reminds me of how important it is from a family perspective to eat together. It's almost as if those who eat together stay together. And obviously that's an overreaching statement for sure sometimes, but it just makes me really think about, I used to run a competitive, but not, any kind of positioned or ranked team, but it was a very competitive, open men's league. Right. And I used to run my team. And one of the requirements that I would have for my team members is they had to stick around after the game with each other for the length of 2 beers. Now, they didn't have to drink beer. I'm not talking about them chugging. I'm talking about just comfortably, casually. And the goal was to spend time together. And we would almost always also bring a grill out and have hot dogs or hamburgers. And so that beautiful barbecue smell would drift over the field and the game afterwards and really frustrate those guys. And that was funny. But we had fun. We had fun with it. And we really got to know each other as a team. We really ended up being a tight-knit group. And we developed friendships like, we came on board together. We didn't necessarily know each other before, and we developed friendships. And it's been 12 years since I've seen some of those guys, but I've stayed in touch with some of them. And the one friend of mine, his father passed recently, and I made sure that I was there at the funeral. And look at that, there were 6 other guys from the squad who were also there, who had stayed in touch. You break bread with someone. There's something about when you just stay in touch with each other that just causes you it's a different level of connection. I don't know. Maybe it's a ridiculously shameless human thing, but, and I also noticed we've talked a lot about food on this platform. We talked about the waste. We talked about clearing your plate. But you were talking about how you're doing this now with Select Auto this coming fall. I believe you've got a potluck scheduled. And so where did that come into play? I think it's a great idea. I think it's going to build your team. Was that your goal, or was it just a kind of a gift back to the team members?
Yeah. So this all really goes back to our culture and the fact that we truly believe that we are a family-owned and operated business. And we don't just say that, we mean that. And what I mean by that is our culture is a culture that breaks bread together. And we do things like quarterly, we go out and we'll take the team outside of the operation and we'll go spend time together outside of automotive repair. And whether that's to an escape room or whether it's to laser tag or go karting or skeet shooting, you name it, just some type of fun team building, team bonding activity that builds culture. And it's, you get out of the shop, but you stay with that group of people that you spend so much time with every single day. And I think it's super important to building that culture, because at the end of the day, what I've learned when hiring and going through the recruiting process and the onboarding process and hiring several hundreds of people in my lifetime is anybody can find and motivate an individual with compensation or money. But ultimately, what loyal employees are looking for is a purpose-driven, purpose-filled organization. And that is what we strive to accomplish. Is we have a purpose, and our purpose is to serve, and that is to serve our clients and our community and take care of their vehicles in any way that we possibly can and give back to the community that's been so great to us.
Okay. I've got some questions. You have a skeet ball, or whatever, event afterwards. And that sounds lame. I don't feel like going. Like, what happens? Are your employees required to go? And if they are required, are you paying them while they're there for their time? What does that look like? We're going to give you a bonus if you attend so many of these per year. How do you make sure that they come willingly?
So it is so important to us. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because we have not always operated like this. So I will say that this is a lesson learned type behavior. Originally, we did them after hours or on the weekend, and we would get probably a 90% rate that everyone would show up. 90% of the people would show up. Somebody'd have a soccer game to go to, somebody have a kids thing, right? And that's fine. We didn't love it, but that's the reality. Did we pay them to go to it? No, we paid for the event, obviously, but we did not pay for them to actually be there. So what we have since done, because we wanted 100%, and this goes with our Christmas parties, this goes with everything that we do now, we close the operation for that event. And so we will close early, whether that's on a Thursday, whether it's on a Tuesday, whether it's on a Friday. And we may close at 2 p.m. and we do an event together from 3 to 6 p.m. And guess
But
what?
Thomas, I gave you my car on Wednesday. I need it back before the weekend. What are you doing? You're not going to be able to finish it now. Sorry, I'm
Absolutely.
role playing.
Absolutely, we would, because ultimately we're a same-day automotive repair shop. So
Okay.
we would take care of that. Would not be at the expense of a customer. Obviously, we would announce formally communication that we were doing a company training event, and that everyone understands that. We'd also make sure that we notified every single customer so that there weren't any hiccups. We also offer after hours pickup. You can pay over the phone. We can drop the vehicle off out front. We can bring the vehicle to you, pick up the vehicle. So there's so many ways that we wouldn't have that as an effect. It's honestly most important that we have the entire team together
Yeah.
outside of the automotive repair shop.
And 90%, that's not bad.
No, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good enough for us. We wanted
Okay.
perfect attendance, and perfect attendance was we had to do it during business hours.
Okay. All right. And I'm thinking about that. I'm just thinking about, I don't know. So you're saying that you've never had an issue with the customer schedule? That always worked out well? That's fine?
Yeah,
You're nodding
so
your head because it's because of advanced planning. It always worked out.
yes, effective communication and advanced planning, it works out. I'm not saying that while we're gone, we don't have a customer that shows up to the door and tries to open the door, and there's a sign on the door and it says, "Hey, we're closed for business. We'll be back Monday morning." Obviously, that stuff can happen, but we do everything in our power. We update Google hours, we update on social media, we do all of those things for this, because these are planned events. They're not just randomly. We don't just attend them randomly.
Nice. Nice. I like that. Okay. All right. So, and I appreciate that you're actually, the Google profile is getting updated. The Facebook page is getting updated, and then it's getting updated again once once that date is passed. Right. So, yeah. Are you posting just like a post and not changing your hours, or you're actually changing your hours on the Google profile?
Yeah, so we change the hours, make a post, and then also we would update our phones to have a message stating that we were closed as well, so it doesn't just ring, 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 and people just think we're super busy, right?
We're currently not available right now. You can find us at XYZ Lane's Bowling Alley.
Yes, and come join us.
That'd be something. So,
Yes.
okay. And what success have you had? Like, I mean, it's hard to measure. I mean, I measured it with my soccer team, right? 12 years later, and like 7 of us are there. That's pretty nice. That shows the bond that was created. On a short-term basis, how are you measuring? Yeah. I mean, I used to do, when I told my teammates, I was like, those who drink together play ball better together. That's what I would tell them, right? But I mean, how are you measuring that this is an effective tool for teamwork?
I mean, I think you
Attitude.
hit the nail on the head, right? The nail on the head is bond. That's what you're doing. You're creating that bond, and ultimately, what that does is it helps with loyalty. I mean, we have employees that have been with us for 5+ years, and in 2025, that is not normal. That is abnormal. And so, for us to create that, it is because we have created a purpose-led organization. And it's not just about, yes, money is a tool and you have to create wealth. And there's a reason why we have to do that, because we have to be here to take care of all of our customers for many, 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 many years to come, and also be able to provide for all of our employees and their families, etc. However, by pouring in to your team and into your family, you are ultimately creating memories together that is what ultimately everybody wants. Yes, we fix cars. Yes, we take care of customers. We educate and inform people all the time. But when you take that second to spend that money, think about it. There's a lot of costs incurred here. We're closing. So opportunity cost is loss, right? And then I'm also paying my people to be there. Then I'm paying for whatever activity it is that they attend that we are doing. And so there is a lot of cost associated with that. But at what cost to your people being loyal?
Yeah.
I mean, at my point, there's no value to put on that.
Right. Right. There are lower cost ways to potentially approach this, right? You don't have to like buy out the bowling alley or those types of
Correct.
things. I mean, you could potentially do yard games in the behind your repair shop. Would that be dangerous though? Because people might still come. People might still knock on the door.
Yeah, that's right. And also, like, we just want, it's funny that you mentioned that. What we got, and we do surveys for our team, and the number one feedback we get is the outings. That is their favorite thing that they look forward to the most.
Mm.
And what they love about them is they're off site. It's like going on a field trip when you're in school.
Did I like that? I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've been.
You probably did, because you weren't at school doing math. You were like at the art museum looking at art, which is better than doing math.
I in that, I'm sorry, I'm going to push back on that example. I like math. I was my son is currently in the 5th grade, and I learned what math he's going to be looking at this year, and it's a lot of word problems. And I remember going through those years of doing the word problems, and I remember thinking how it really helped me like algebra, because after all of that reading, I was able to see linear equations, and I like linear equations. X plus Y equals Z that makes perfect sense to me. This whole narrative of the bus was going this way and then something else happened, and anyway, that was just so, but I like math. That was fun for me, but I get your point. It's a valid point. And that's really interesting that childlike piece of us is still in us as adults, and maybe we're not tapping into it enough. But so go to someone else's yard or park for those yard games if you wanted to set that up. Okay, so do you're here on this podcast? Do you have other speaking engagements? Are you doing other things that are attached to ShopFix or not attached to ShopFix?
Yeah, so I actually do have a speaking engagement coming up, and that one is at the ASTA conference in Raleigh, North Carolina. I am actually speaking through ShopFix. I'm sponsored by ShopFix to speak at that event,
And that's the
and
end of September of 2025.
end of September 2025. And it is an annual event that happens around the same exact time every single year at the Raleigh Convention Center.
Okay. All right. And what do you expect? How many shops are going to be there represented?
Well, there's a lot. I don't have the registration numbers or the access to it, but I did happen to go there yesterday and today, just to look and watch some other speakers and just feel it out and get ready. And as I prepare for my speaking engagement tomorrow, and it's packed. There's a lot of people, a lot of hungry shop owners, a lot of eager service advisors, technicians looking to learn. So the nice thing about this conference is it's a very well-rounded conference. So it is targeted for automotive repair specifically, but automotive repair shop owners. There are classes specific to owners. There are classes specific to managers. There are classes specific to technicians and service advisors as well.
Okay. And what's your topic going to be? Are you allowed to? I mean, this is not going to be published until after you've had the speaking event, so it won't be a surprise. What did you already speak about at the point where someone's listening? Go ahead.
Yes. So my topic, I have named it the sales playbook.
Okay.
And my target audience is shop owners, managers, and service advisors, essentially
Okay.
more front of the house focused is what my presentation will be on. And I'm going to break it up. It's a 4-hour speaking engagement. You're probably like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's a really long time. So I'm going to, in order to keep everyone's attention, I will do
Hold on.
3:45.
I want to guess.
Yeah.
After about 60 minutes, you're going to take them off campus for an event.
Yeah, I wish I was able to do that, but
Okay.
I will do 3 45-minute segments with 15-minute breaks at the end
Okay.
of those, and then the final segment will be 60 minutes of just a powerhouse segment and a close at the end of that. So the segments will be, the first segment will be more of a foundational segment, why sales matter, and then I'm going to go over some framework and really focus on converting the conversation to a car and how we do that. And then the second session will be more on metrics, money, and mastery. And that will be on KPIs and on certain metrics that we like to follow. So that'll be kind of the data driven for the data driven people, right? Because obviously it's not all about money, but money is a tool and we got to have it, right? And then the third session will be on phones, follow up, front counter domination, sales etiquette in person, over the phone, some role playing there, some strategies that I will give for that. And then we're gonna bring it home, round third, and head for home and talk about objections, role playing, and action plan. And I got something fun and exciting. I'm actually planning on finding out a couple of shops represented in the room that are open on Saturdays. And I plan on calling their shops in front of everybody and seeing how their front counter answers the phones.
Do they know about this?
They will not know about it.
Okay. Okay. It could be a tough one. That could be an interesting.
It's tough, but hey, guess what? Ego aside, you got to stay coachable.
Right. Right. And it really does matter. But part of me, I've got two different, the devil and the angel on your shoulders, right? So first let me tell you a story, and then I'm going to be the devil's advocate for a second. Okay. Client of ours in Texas, we were doing the digital marketing, as you know, AA Shop Marketing, digital marketing company for repair shops. And so we were handling the marketing. We were watching all of our KPIs continue to climb, continue to rise. We were watching their Google profile calls continue to go up month over month over month. The number of visits to their website, month over month, the number of responses to their local service ads, everything. The number of social media engagement, all of it, everything was rising. But when we talked with them on a monthly basis, we would hear, no, nothing's really changing. Our numbers are about the same. We still have the same number of cars. We still have the same number of dollars coming through. And actually, I think it's down from last year in this month. And we're not coaches, so we don't We don't go there to say, listen, the person answering your phone, I'm thankful. I felt this way. I was thankful to getting his cell phone number so I could avoid his front desk person. And right. And like, if that isn't enough of a telling story, but anyway, he rebooted his staff. And we didn't make any marketing changes. We just kept doing what we were doing and watching the numbers climb. And now he is blowing it up. He is tearing through it. He's ahead of his goals now. And it's because he had somebody that people wanted to talk with when they called. They wanted to say hello to because they were friendly. They were polite. They were, and yes, they are trying to explain all the details and make their customers as informed as possible so that they can make the right decision for them and their bank account. And the way I just framed that is very different from, we need to grow our sales. We need to increase our average repair order. When I hear things like that, the devil's advocate side flinches because I know that there are plenty of customers, car owners out there who I've seen the reviews. They just want to sell you extra stuff that you don't need. And that's the review, right? How do we balance this? Or is it not a balance? It's just a communication issue. I'm sorry. I don't want to give you, I'm just going to push back, right? You're telling people to sell more, sell more. Isn't it going to sound like they're just trying to sell stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're exactly right. And honestly, it's funny that you mentioned that because a lot of what I will do is all in the presentation and the delivery of the information. I am a big believer in my front counter. I train on this nonstop. There really is no sale. Their job is to educate and inform the customer, prioritize the work that is needed to be done on their car, give them all of the value adds that we provide as an organization, explain to them our warranty, explain to them how all of it works, explain to them why we are in the position that we're in, why their car is in the position that it is in. And it is the customer's job to say yes or no. There is no sale. All we need to do is, it is my technician's obligation to give a full vehicle health report to the service advisor that has every single thing that is not satisfactory or up to par on that vehicle. And then it is our advisor's job to educate and inform the customer, explain to them what's going on with the vehicle, and then prioritize based on safety concern first, and then recommended repairs second, and then maintenance items third. And we always start with what the original customer concern was when the customer came in, because that is the highest priority for the customer.
Okay. And I'm thinking about, is there two different groups of maintenance? There are some people who, hey, I have it here, just get it done. And there are other people who I want to hold off in 6 months, right? So is that where the sales comes in? Because the sales behavior or the hospitality side of things you've already had that conversation with them. You've had that goal in mind, and you've already communicated that with the customer. And then you could say, because you're here, we can do this, or this can be done. We can wait till March to get this done. What's best for you, Mr. or Mrs. Client? Is that you're nodding your head in agreement? That's where the sales piece comes in. Because I imagine, I'm thinking, if I was to go to a doctor's office and they spit out a full report and say, okay, what do you want us to look at? What do you want us to correct? Well, that would be crazy. Right? Especially if they just handed me the report and said, figure it out for yourself. I can go out to the portal, right? Because that's all that's always done these days, right? I can go out to the portal and I can read it, but I need the doctor then to explain to me what needs to be done and what doesn't need to be done. And the differences there, I'm actually going to do some additional research, but, like I was looking up on statins, for example. Like, I made a decision, I don't need statins. I might need to eat more salads, but I don't need more statins, right? So, and so again, that informed decision. I'm just thinking out loud here. I'm just kind of thinking about how you guys are the car doctors. There's actually tons of shops named Auto Doctor.
Mhm.
And so deliver that in that same kind of top shelf bedside manner approach.
You're exactly right. We are the professional that they are seeking, and that is why it is our obligation to provide them with an explanation, educate, and inform. Another thing we do is, we have no issues bringing a customer back into our shop and showing them what is wrong with their vehicle. I have no shame in my shop. We have a standard in my shop, and we keep this shop clean. My technicians are well kept. They're clean individuals. They are well versed, and they will absolutely talk to a customer and show them with a flashlight, hey, this is leaking. Hey, this is what's going on. So whereas a lot of shops are like, nah, we're just going to tell you that you have an oil leak, but we're not actually going to show you that you have an oil leak. And there's a lack of trust there.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's where the DVIs come in. They can see the oil leak even before they've gotten there. But I'm just curious from an insurance perspective. Does that make it? Did your insurance agent just flinch, knowing that you are taking people back to where the cars are on a lift?
Nope, because we pay a lot of money to our insurance agent, so he loves us.
So you make sure that the insurance is. I don't even know. Is that a thing? Like, do you have to inform your agent that you are bringing people back into the shop occasionally? Or
Yep. So yeah, and we don't have a sign on there that says authorized personnel only, things of that nature, right? So we do allow that. Now, obviously, the reason why we allow it is because I am not concerned about an accident because the floors are swept, the floors are mopped. We have floor cleaners that's all they do is clean the floor all day, every day. So there's not going to be diesel fuel on the floor for more than a few seconds. There's not going to be
you have a full-time employee that just walks around and cleans the floor. That's all they do.
All day, every day.
For how long?
He's got a Zamboni. He's got a mop. He's got a broom. He's got a dustpan. He's got it all.
You didn't start there. What size shop did you have to become before that was a worthwhile expense, right? Like if you are running a shop that's as tiny as like $600,000 a year, you're not going to be able to afford a Zamboni machine. So at what point, what kind of traffic do you need to have before you start making that particular improvement to your shop floor?
Yeah. So we started out by having that was a GS's position, right? That was like a byproduct of a GS. So, hey, when you're not doing oil changes and tire rotations, clean. And then what happened guess what? We grew our shop, got busy. And then it became a pigsty because the GS is like, hey, boss, do you want me to do the oil change or you want me to mop the floor? Well, do the oil change, bud. Right? So that's when it got to the point where I would say we were pushing $3 to $4 million annually. And it became an actual role to where we said, hey, we're going to have a guy. That's all he's going to do. And it also makes it to where the technicians don't have to do it because I want them working on cars nonstop. I don't want them mopping the floor. They make too much money to mop the floor. They need to be working on the actual vehicle and taking care of the customer. And so we have someone that's all they do.
And now, is that floor guy, is he a future tire changer?
That's what happens. Yep. So they grow. The career growth path for them is they become a GS.
Right. So you're looking at bringing on, hey, let's go find a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old, depending on your work laws in your state. Bring them on, get them around, and then you're coaching them. You're keeping them to be a part of the non-alcoholic during business hour activities, and you get to determine whether or not he stays or whether he gets replaced with a different 15-year-old.
Correct. Yeah. And so it's ultimately like a lot of the times, Mike and I like to talk about it's almost like having a school inside of an automotive repair shop, because we have done this several times where we'll pull people from, there's a technical community college locally that we will pull somebody from their auto diesel school. And we will bring them in, and then we will start them out in a shop hand position, and then they will work up to a quick lube position, and then work up to a line tech position.
Okay. Now, in that school that you're talking about, what age group are they? They're more like
18 to 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily go out and hire the 15-year-old in high school, but you could.
We have now. It's funny you bring up insurance, right? So there's an issue there with one of the things that we have to do, or a lot of the guys do, not obviously the floor sweeper, but driving can't put them on our insurance to actually drive one of our vehicles at that young of an age. And so therefore, if I need to take a customer home, that would be a guy that I would do that with, and I can't do that. So it's better for me to find someone who is 18 or older to be able to do that job. But we absolutely can. We've done some people in a part-time capacity that are 16, 17 years old that do it through the summer when they're not at school, things like that.
Just, I'm flinching at the idea that some of your techs are driving people home. We already talked about the car loaners, right? We already talked about
Yep.
those types of things. It seems to me it would be cheaper to hire an Uber than it would be to pay an employee.
Yeah, unfortunately, Uber doesn't come out to where our shop is because it's in the sticks. But
Okay.
we have a full-time driver as well. So that's all he does is drive.
I'm sorry. He's driving customers home and
Customers home to the parts house to pick up parts if they can't set proper expectations.
okay. So he's got more than one role. He's not just driving customers around. He's also
he just
driving.
Drives.
He's running errands, right?
Yes.
He does he sometimes even pull the cars into the bays for you?
Yeah.
So that, okay. Got it. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Well, that's a pretty big shop, isn't it? That's
it's a big shop. I mean,
are you scaling that? Now your Select Auto one, it's a much smaller footprint. Talk to me about that real quick. Let's compare that to some of so that way the people who are listening who have that size shop can relate. Do you have a floor cleaner at Select Auto?
We do not. We have a GS, and they do, and they clean the floors, but we don't have a full-time floor cleaner that's all they do.
But if Select got busier, you might have to.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Now, what about a driver?
We do not have a full-time driver, but we will send a GS on a drive if we need to.
Okay. And so he's your errand guy. He's your customer guy.
Yeah.
Is Select Auto in an Uber-friendly environment? Uber, Lyft, whatever the local ride shares are.
Select Auto is. Yes.
Okay. Do you expect to have a corporate Uber account for something like that?
We will probably absolutely do that. So a lot of the
is that something that is on your radar?
Yep, that's something on our radar. We do have one loaner car there. So we do have the ability to do that. We also have a shuttle that we obviously can take people home and pick people up. That market, a lot of our customers are very close to that store. So a lot of the times we just spin them home and come back and then and do it that way. But yes, I could foresee doing Uber or Lyft, some type of system. Yeah.
So the shop that I used to go to, and I won't get into why they used to, but they're only 3 miles away from where I live. So I would go drop off my shop and walk home. It's only 3 miles, no big deal. They would offer, "Do you want me to drive you home?" No, I'm fat. The exercise is necessary to let me do this. And it only burnt me one time. I'm walking down my driveway. I get to the mailbox. I've got 3 more miles to go to get to the shop to go pick my car back up. And I get a phone call. My mother-in-law. I was just in a car accident. She was bringing my son. She was in a car accident with my son in the car. It's been a long time since I did 3 miles that fast. I ran.
Oh.
I get in there and I'm with the credit card out. And they're like, "Are you okay? Do I need to call an ambulance?" Card, pay. And then I raced to the scene. But that was pretty crazy. But
what timing on that?
Right? The moment that I had to walk the 3 miles, I had my earbuds in. I was ready to just kind of listen to an audiobook, right? And so that was a stretch on my health there that day, but it was fine. I worked out, and by the way, my mother-in-law was fine, my son was fine, and but still, it was just the timing of it all was just kind of funny, right? So, but I can appreciate living close enough that you just, that's like for me, 3 miles is not a big deal. I can walk that or jog that. It's okay. Running hard is a whole different. I don't recommend that
for anybody.
Maybe there's like those marathon people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for them.
Yeah, as long as the shop's within 26.1 miles, it's good. 26.2. It's good. So anyway, all right. Speaking engagement that you're doing, it is or it's not part of ShopFix Academy.
No, it's not. They are a vendor for this conference, and so I am speaking on behalf of ShopFix Academy, but it's just at this conference. So they have set up a booth there in the vendor hall, and then I am one of the speakers that is going to be speaking on. My topic is sales. There's been several other speakers that have spoke from ShopFix Academy this week.
Okay, got it. And I'm trying to remember. We had a great conversation last week, but I'm trying to remember some of the things that we talked about. And so we might be overlapping our conversation, but let's talk a little bit about your role at ShopFix Academy and what you're currently doing.
Yes, so I am a business coach for ShopFix Academy, and I currently actively coach 46 shop owners around the world. Now, I actually just picked up a client in Australia, so that's fun because it's a 12-hour time difference. So, 3 p.m. here, 3 a.m. there, and but it's good, So I'm doing that as well as one of the things that ShopFix does is they host quarterly conferences in Tennessee. And so I will go there, and then I will obviously go there with my tribe that I have, and we'll do some more intimate setting coaching. And then I also will do speaking engagements at those conferences and talk about things in breakout sessions and on the main stage at those conferences. So,
I'm sorry, your tribe is 46 shops large?
correct. Well,
That's a large
not
tribe.
even, it's more than 46 shops. It's 46 shop owners, and some of them have several stores. Yeah.
But that's still a large tribe. I mean,
Yeah.
there are other coaching platforms that use, 15 or 20. And I imagine if I was plugged into the ShopFix, if I owned a shop and I was plugged into the ShopFix Academy, I mean, would my tribe be 46, or does that vary from coach to coach?
It varies from coach to coach. I do have one of the larger tribes, but I will tell you this, ShopFix Academy now has 1,300 plus members, and we only have 37 coaches. And the reason for that is this: we are the only coaching group that does no contracts. So we are month to month. And then we also are the only coaching group that requires coaches to be actively operating automotive repair shops currently. So I am advising shop owners, and I am coaching shop owners as an active shop owner, not as a retired shop owner that did this 30 years ago.
Yeah, because 30 years ago, it's different. I mean, I regularly have people come onto this show talking about how they helped transition from paper to digital, right, as they took over the shop. And some of them, as like just a matter of years ago, they were still using a number 2 pencil. I'm like, what? Like, that just blows my mind. And I don't know. Good, impressive that you were still using paper in 2021. Cool, but it seems like it would slow things down. It seems like there's plenty of opportunity for more efficiency, and so anyway, so I can see how a coach who's been around for 30 years and doesn't have a shop anymore, they better be doing things to make sure that they are still in the mix of what is current, because it's ever changing, and you need to be so. I find that interesting. I find that helpful. I find the month to month thing is also an interesting thing. The idea. Are you telling me that the typical customer of a shop in Australia is similar to that to the United States? Because I find that might be different. The culture, like maybe Australia is very similar to the U.S. I've never been there. But I'm thinking that there's differences. Like at least here in the U.S., we've got hidden compartments for our guns. In Australia, they don't allow that, right? So, and I joke, but seriously, you're nodding your head.
It's different. It's very different. So it's funny that you mentioned that, because this is the first time I've had to deal with something like this. All of my other clients are United States based, right? But it's funny because even some vendors that we utilize or some software that we utilize, they don't have the right to sell in Australia. So they can't even utilize some of the tools and vendors that we offer and have, or in the and this being US based vendors, right? And so I'll be talking to them about something. They're like, "Oh, I want to do that. I'm going to call them." And then they call them and they're like, "Oh, we're not able to sell to you because you're in Australia." And so some of the things align, some of the concepts align, but they definitely do operate differently. As pay plans as well, different labor laws, different taxes are different, all of that type of stuff, right? So it's an interesting concept, but they're two hungry guys with two successful stores looking for more, and I'm more than willing to, you know, try my best to coach them through that. So
Make it happen.
yeah,
Interesting. Okay. What does your tribe do together?
we break bread together.
The tribe does.
Yeah. I mean, so we do when we go to quarterly conferences.
Yep.
We come in the night before, and I book a restaurant or an activity. I treat it
Okay.
very similar to my automotive repair shops.
Yep.
And we all eat dinner together, hang out together, spend time together. And then and we have weekly Zoom coaching sessions as a tribe. And then we also offer one-on-one coaching sessions. So I have one-on-one calls with all of the members as well.
How often are you doing the one-on-one calls?
Oh, I'm doing them every single week, but depending on the cadence that the client is on, they may only speak to me once a month on a actual recorded call. I actually give all of my clients full access to me. So if I'm a big believer that if you have an issue or something's on fire, I need to handle it now and we need to address it now. And I don't think we can wait till a scheduled coaching call to address some things.
All right. So minimum monthly, optional as often as you need.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So if you're looking for a coach, guys, Thomas might be a worthwhile call if you want to eat. And by eat, I mean food and knowledge about running your shop. If you want your shop to be 4 million in size, and maybe that's also a good way to go. And I don't know. I just this is why don't you share with everybody how they can get in touch with you if they were to want to explore or interview you or ask you some questions about you being their coach. Do they go through the ShopFix website or do they come directly to you?
Yeah, so I would send everybody to the ShopFix website, and then you will have a consultation call. And on the consultation call, you can mention myself. I heard Thomas Andrews on a podcast, or I saw a speech of Thomas Andrews or whatever. And then they would then reach out to me, and we would then put together a call to see if it was a good fit for both parties. And as long as it's a good fit, then they would place you if they felt that that client was better served with a different coach, because I'm just one coach, right? There's 36 other coaches at ShopFix Academy that have different walks and different stores and different everything. And so they may think that you are a better fit with someone else, and they would put you with someone else.
Okay. And all 1,300 ShopFix customers are with a coach? They've all been assigned a coach?
That's correct. Yeah. So that if you were in the
on average, then the average coach has like 35 in each of their tribe.
That's correct.
Do you have the biggest tribe?
Very close. I think I know I'm one of the biggest.
I find that interesting because I hear other people talk about their group that they are in with, again, maybe another coaching platform, or, some people call it 20 groups, pods.
Yep.
I've heard a bunch of different things. So they talk about the relationships that they have developed, the bonds that they've developed with the others. With 46, that doesn't get lost?
No, it doesn't. Honestly, it really doesn't. And how we do that is through obviously transparency. One of the things that I do is I have created 4 mini pods within my large group.
There you go. So yes, it could get lost, and you've answered that by having micro groups within your tribe. Okay.
There you go.
Okay, got it. Okay, that's good to hear. And so they get on weekly calls, monthly calls?
No, they get on twice a month with their small mini pod, and then it's twice a month with the large group.
Okay.
Now, this is just how I operate. This isn't how all coaches operate, right? So I don't want to speak for anybody else on what they do, but this is how I have
Does the
my team
customer,
operates.
does the shop owner get they go to ShopFix, they do that initial consult, that person recommends which coach they should have. Do they get to interview that coach and say, no, that guy's not for me, give me next? Or
They
is
will,
you're assigned, It's how.
they assign them the coach, and then they have the introductory call. If on the introductory call you don't feel a bond, you don't feel like it's going to work, then you can request to change coaches. And then obviously we would go through an interview process. And I'll tell you this, one of the beautiful things about ShopFix Academy is, us as coaches too, we have full autonomy. Ultimately, we just want our clients, we treat them just like our automotive repair customers. We want you to have the best client experience. Ultimately, if you're paying a monthly fee for value, then we want you to be getting all of that value. And if you don't feel like you are, then we want to make that change. So if you have been with me let's say you've been with me as a coach for a year and you're like not growing and you've outgrown me as a coach, then I want you to go with another coach that can take you to the next level, because I want your customer experience to be the best experience.
Well, here's what I like about that. It also models what you're telling people with their customer experience that needs to be the best customer experience, right? And so, if you're a shop owner, you're not necessarily, yes, you're repairing cars, or your shop is repairing cars, but you're in the customer experience business. That's what we said earlier, right? And so, so that coaching experience, that customer experience with the coach mimics what you were saying about that. I just find that nice. I find that a nice way to kind of also end this conversation. And so again, if you want to learn more about ShopFix, head out there. If you want to learn more about Thomas's story, we didn't talk too much about his whole story. There are several other podcasts out there. I jogged my memory. There was one with ShopFix podcast, actually, that you gave your full story.
Yep.
What was the name of that podcast?
Success Leaves Clues.
Success Leaves Clues. Perfect. And so you can check that out. And by the way, thank you for listening to another episode of the Garage Grit podcast. I'm Brad Herlock, your host of digital marketing company for auto repair shops. That's aashopmarketing.com. And we are also trying to help you grow, improve your shop on the coaching side with Thomas and marketing side with us. Happy to help. That's what we're here to do. So thank you, Thomas, for your time as well.